It's time to start the show. Welcome to another edition of After the Week, sponsored by SmackTalk Showdown. I am Will Washington. I am one half of your After the Week duo here. I'm not alone because I'm also joined by the one and only Denise Salcedo. Denise.
Yo, I'm feeling pretty pumped, man. What's up, Will? We back. I'm happy.
How's the vacation going?
Dude, vacation's going freaking great. I have a couple of hours left here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. There's so many words to say in there. But anyways, I've been here in Vancouver since Thursday, since Thanksgiving. And today's my last day. I'm going back home, back to reality.
I hate that back to reality feeling because I feel like vacations are like retirement cocktails where it's like you get just a little bit of like that tease of, hey, you want to do this for the rest of your life? Well, too bad. You got to go back to your regular life. And I don't know. It's that last day feeling.
Yeah.
I can't stand.
Just knowing that I have to spend, well, thankfully this flight from Vancouver to Los Angeles isn't bad. It's like 3 hours. You know, it's very close to where I live. It's not bad at all. So I'm honestly not too stressed about it. I'll still get home with enough time to take a shower, relax. If I want to watch a movie, it'll be good. So I'm feeling pretty all right. Plus I don't feel too terrible because we're in the same time zone. So I didn't change time zones at all. So that really makes a huge difference. So I feel like I just went on a lengthy road trip to another country. But I've been feeling good. You know, this is my last day here. I will say this, though. I don't know if I could ever do like these winter vacations ever again because I don't know. Okay, so obviously I'm from Los Angeles, okay? I've lived in Los Angeles for 30 goddamn years, all right? Like my whole life. And so out here in Canada, Will, it's pretty cold, right? It's not too cold. I've been in colder weather, but for the most part, it's been cold. But get this, it's been drying out my face, man. Yesterday, I woke up and I looked like I was Santa Claus, man. I had like ashy skin. It looked like I had a white beard. It was disgusting. I wanted to cry. And it was because my skin was so dry and I kept moisturizing. And it was just like the coldness was drying up my face.
See, you wouldn't survive here in Denver. I know that for a fact because we are just the dry cold. That's what we know, right? And like the thing is, black folks get ashy. So I live, I live with lotion, right? Like I keep lotion everywhere to the point of where people from out of town question. They're like, "Why do you have lotion here? Is this like your masturbation station?" I'm like, "No, it's
masturbation station, like, masturbation central."
Yeah, no, I'm like, this is Colorado. We keep lotion everywhere, especially black men in Colorado. That's how this works. But the thing is, one of the beauties of living in Colorado is watching people who aren't from Colorado dry up so quickly. It's the biggest sports tell, right? Like when teams play the Denver Nuggets, for example, I can tell when a team is getting gassed here in Colorado because all of a sudden you start seeing ash around their face, you start seeing lips getting dry, and I'm like, oh, this is it. Now we just got to capitalize and win. And that's usually how it goes. That's why we have like an actual home field, home court advantage here in Denver because it's that dry Colorado elevation. You would not survive here.
No. I was terrible. I woke up and I wanted to cry, Will. Like, you don't know what it's like waking up and seeing your face not look like your face. And you're like, oh my God, I'm ugly. I'm gonna stay like this for the rest of my life. It's permanent. You know, I turned to my husband. I was like, look at me. Verge of tears moment. But I just put more moisturizer on and try to cover up with makeup. And I'm just like, ready to get home and get some warmth on my face.
I was gonna say, we did just mascaraing your whole face.
Yeah, I know. My face would be like all dark right now. I don't know. I just put a bunch of like primer and stuff. I was like, cover up my Santa Claus beard. I look like fucking Saint Nick.
See, the thing is, I will say the bonus for people who do live in drier climates, they know. I can't really call it a bonus. I'd say the downside of traveling to places that aren't so dry is that you never, once you're used to it, you never feel clean any place else you are. Because when I shower, when I'm in California, Michigan, any place I travel to with water, I feel like still
You're
slimy.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel slimy,
yes.
right? Yes, I feel
Yes.
slimy. I don't feel like I'm fully clean because even after I've dried off all of that after a shower, I don't feel like I've gotten everything off of me because I'm like, I'm still moist. It's weird. And so, but
Right?
I've also lived in Colorado for 28 years. Oh my God, it's been 28 years this year. Anyway, I've lived here 28 years, so
That's how I
it's just
feel
something
too.
I'm used
I
to.
only
Yeah.
feel clean in Los Angeles. Sorry, I feel dirty right now. I see you got your traveling. It's just not the same.
Yeah, not the same. Anyway, folks, there are ways to support what we do here on this show. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your messages. So please donate a super chat right here on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. If you donate a super chat, we'll be sure to read it here on the show. It helps support what we do. It helps Denise pay me. It's just a way to keep this show going. And we love hearing from you too. So definitely send us a super chat. Again, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. Also, the way this show works, in case you're unfamiliar with After the Week, let's say this is your first time and you're seeing our face for the first time. You're like, hey, these are two really good looking people. Why are they just talking about wrestling? And it's like, I'm glad you asked that question. Why? Because we love it. But more importantly, we wanted to isolate the things that we do love and then kind of stomp a little bit on something we hate. And so the way this show works is that Denise and I pick our top 3 things of the week, the entire wrestling week across the wrestling landscape. If we watched it this week, if it aired this week, didn't so much have to be taped this week. As long as it happened within this week, it's up and it's fair game. And so we pick our top 3 things, and then we make sure to pick our one thing that we just couldn't stand this week.
Because we're human and we got to let our anger out.
I know. I'm really curious. Now, most of the time, Denise is doing the hosting of the show, which means she throws it to me to start all of this off. But I'm in the driver's seat, and I'm going to make Denise start. And we're going to start with Denise's number 3 worst pick, or best pick of the week. No, we're not worst. We're not highlighting worst. We are starting with Denise's 3rd best of the week. Denise, what you got for me?
All right, I got them all written down here on my handy dandy notebook, and it was so easy to get them down this week. So my number 3 best for this week in wrestling is actually going to the finals of the Eliminator Tournament for AEW. Ricky Starks defeating Ethan Page. I'm putting this one up here on my 3rd best. And the reason that it's going up there is because when they announced this tournament, instantly I was like, you need to have somebody that is going to win this, that it's actually going to propel them up to that next level in their career. Whether it be, I know Ethan Page was up there as an option. I thought that there was a good possibility that it was going to be him. But my personal 2 favorites in this competition, in this tournament, was Bandito and Ricky Starks. Like, Bandito I thought was going to win simply for the fact that he had just signed with the company, but Ricky Starks to me was like the guy that's almost always been on the precipice of being something a little bit more, and there's always been something to kind of, shove him back to the back of the line, and I feel like he's constantly worked his way up from the back of the line to, the front of the line of getting his shot. So seeing Ricky Starks win this tournament, I was very happy because the crowd was really behind him. They were more behind him than Ethan Page. And honestly, it could have done both guys good. But I feel like Ricky Starks is really at that point in his AEW career where it was time to do something a little bit more with him. Him as FTW champion, it was good, but it wasn't necessarily great in terms of like just the Brian Cage program. It took so long to really culminate, to really come to an end. And so I feel like I was just so ready to see Ricky Starks involved in anything else. And then he finally did start being involved in other things. And it was enjoyable to see. He's been good in the ring. He's been good on the mic. And now that he's going to be facing MJF, I'm very excited because these are 2 guys that I'm very excited to see what their charisma is going to be like, because both guys are very charismatic. Different types of charisma, but still very charismatic. And I actually think Ricky Starks can hang in there with somebody like MJF. So I'm very much looking forward to this. And I'm very happy for Ricky Starks getting this opportunity. And I do think this is the next step in his career.
I wasn't expecting that pick, but that's a good pick.
I know you weren't. I know you weren't. You were like, you seem pretty shocked.
I was. But that's a good pick. And, Ricky Starks was the guy I picked from pretty much the very beginning. I said before when we reviewed the show that, AEW kind of tipped their hand that it was going to be Ricky Starks just based on the fact that Ricky Starks got hurt and they stalled the tournament, which told me, okay, so they don't have any other plans. It has to be Ricky Starks. But I thought from the beginning that one of the best things AEW could do, and one of the best messages they can send the locker room, is Ricky Starks versus MJF. Right? This is especially with Winter is Coming being the biggest Dynamite they do every year. The fact that this year it doesn't seem to have any less promotion than it's had in previous years. It's got the Game of Thrones tie-in. It's a big deal. And they're going to main event it. They're going to make the marquee match a match between two really homegrown guys, two guys that, and I know people say, well, he was made in NWA, but like Ricky Starks himself has said he's an AEW homegrown guy.
Please, let's stick with AEW homegrown guy, okay?
Yeah. But Ricky Starks and MJF are both guys who were really made known to the wider wrestling audience by AEW. And I think it's a good message to send to the locker room to be like, this year, both sides of it, whether it's the world champion, whether it's the world champions challengers, are both guys that we've spent the last couple of years establishing ourselves that chose AEW, and we have made, I guess, worldwide names here. And and just to send that also to fans to say that, hey, we're rewarding your investment in this program by giving you Ricky Starks versus MJF. I can't wait to see the promos. The cool thing is we still got 3 more Dynamites to go before then.
Yes, I think that's why I'm so glad that it's not like, oh, 1 week here's the winner, next week is Winter is Coming. No, there's actually a couple of shows where they can do a lot here with MJF and Ricky Starks. And so thankfully I'm pretty excited that he's going to be his first challenger. I think they can cook up some good stuff. So yeah, I feel like because of the meaning of Ricky Starks winning this tournament and the potential that I think that there can be here, this one had to make it on my top 3 for the week.
Agreed. That's a good one. I would not have picked that. We got a couple of super chats that I wanted to read. This one here from Tim Gordon. Tim asks, "What would Blood and Guts look like if it was happening soon? I'd book the Elite the Elite and Hangman, and Phoenix versus Pac, Penta, Aussie Open, and Will Ospreay. Oh, a little bit of dissension and death triangle where you'd have Phoenix on the other side. I'll tell you what. After Survivor Series ended and me and Denise did the Fightful post show last night. Speaking of which, if you want to see more of me and Denise, go watch that Fightful post show because we did talk Survivor Series. After that was over, I pulled up WARGAMES 92 from Wrestle War 1992.
So you needed to watch a really great WARGAMES afterwards?
I did. I needed to. I won't say
5-star WARGAMES.
I won't say it needed to cleanse my palate, but it was like I really wanted. I was actually really thinking about what Denise said about the nature of war games and the chaotic nature and the violence of it, and I was like, first thing I did was I pulled up Blood and Guts from this past summer because it's still on my DVR, and I was like, oh, the commercials! I can't do the commercials in this match. They take me out of it. Even when I can skip those commercials, it's still like just that mode of, man, things are really chaotic. Come back here in 90 seconds. And I'm like, I don't want to. And so I backed out of that and I'm like, okay, Wrestle War 92. I just get a straight good old match. And by the end of it, I came to one conclusion about what I want to see out of the next Blood and Guts match. Sting. I need Sting. I don't care if, 63 and somebody's going to stop and go, are you sure? Like, he could die. Look, that's clearly how Sting wants to go. So for me,
oh God, Will, but it's too morbid. Look, I don't believe in that. I think Sting will be perfectly fine if he.
I'm totally just kidding. But
no, I know you are.
Yeah, Sting. It has to have Sting though. I feel like for how many War Games matches he participated in, and for how synonymous he almost is with it. And knowing that you have Sting now, I feel like whatever they do next has to be something including Sting. And then I thought about it. I thought, okay, thinking about the violent and dangerous nature of the match, it also has to include Darby then. Like, you could really do something cool with Darby. So I need Sting and Darby in whatever happens next. That's what I would want to see.
I love the way that, Tim is booking this. Obviously, with Hangman being out right now, that wouldn't be a possibility. If we were going to do it like right now. Right. But I do love, bringing in Aussie Open and Will Ospreay, but I also do agree with you, including Sting and Darby into this. I feel like you can't not add Sting and Darby if you are going to do something again. Well, obviously they're gonna, but I will tell you this though. I will say that blood and guts. I hope that the next time that is it hard to say I hope they don't do commercials, because they have to do commercials, like that's the way they make their money. You can't say they can't do commercials, but it does take you out of it.
You can do like a big sponsor, because usually that's
right. They've done it before, so I kind of hope that maybe they'll look into that a little bit more, because I know some people say you can watch it on Fight, but let's be real, like not many of us are going to be watching on Fight that don't have to watch it on Fight. So yeah, I do hope that they find a way to do maybe at least without commercials, just for us non-Fight people.
Yes. We got another. This one's from Mr. CJ Lilly. It says, "Hey, 2 good nights last night. No direction for Alexa. Did you see her BT interview where she says being champion isn't her priority? Likes giving the new talent the moments. It's about character for her. Is she too selfless right now?" I mean, a lot of people feel that about Bryan Danielson as well, in that way of like the fans want to see more, but the wrestler themselves is like, I kind of had all of that. I'm really in a mode of trying to push the next generation. It's kind of tough because
she's still so young.
I know, she's still so young, and like the fans of that wrestler don't necessarily care about any of that. They're just like, I just want to see my favorite win. I don't care who you're putting over in the process. So
it's true though.
But it's true, but it's also like you have to commend the wrestler for being selfless in that regard of like, yeah, I just want to see the next generation win. But fans are like, I don't care. Like, I just want to see you win. So I think there is a mode of being a little bit too selfless, because if you're not winning enough in pro wrestling, then you don't necessarily have a rub to give. If you're constantly losing, you have to have some type of prestige to your presence, to your career. And so, yeah, Alexa Bliss is a multi-time champion, so she already has that in her bag. But again, if she's not winning enough on screen, then there isn't a rub to give. So, yeah, I think you can be a little too selfless. But also, that's kind of a thing wrestlers say when they're not being pushed and they need to feel justified in it. So it's like, oh, it's okay. I'm putting people over. So
right. That's what I was thinking too. Like, let's say you knew it wasn't going to be in your cards anywhere down the line, and I was asked this question, and if I was Alexa Bliss, I'd be like, well, I don't think I would say this, because I feel like a person should always say that they want the belt, because the belt is the reason we're here, right? Like, you want to be champion, and no matter what division you're in, you want to be champion. Like, that's a part of, this whole thing. But I do like that she, mentions focusing on character and whatnot, but that still doesn't mean you don't have to not be champion. I still think Alexa Bliss has a lot to offer on the table. I think that if they were to tell me tomorrow, hey, Denise, you want Alexa Bliss or Ronda Rousey on SmackDown as SmackDown Women's Champion? I'd be like, please give me Alexa Bliss right now. No, I'm just saying, because, I just feel like I really like Alexa Bliss.
Okay.
What? I just think she's really freaking, like, I think she has a lot to offer. Am I wrong here? Will, are you not that big of an Alexa Bliss fan? Maybe I'm just a bigger Alexa Bliss fan. You got to understand, I love Alexa Bliss, and I felt so bad for her when she was getting so much shit for all of the things she, for the Fiend stuff and all of that. I felt terrible for her, because I thought, you know what? This may not have been what a lot of people love, but I think she's doing the best job she possibly can, given what she's been provided and what she's been given to work with. I mean, the girl was walking around with an ugly doll that looked like those freaking peanut butter and jelly Smuckers. What are they called? Are they called Smuckers? Smackers? Those peanut butter jelly round little circle things?
Yeah.
The frozen ones?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Those ones? Okay, it literally looked like that, but with a face on it, okay? So she did a phenomenal job at that, and I feel bad, because I really do think Alexa Bliss should be at the top. Like, there's no reason. Like, I would love to see a freaking killer program between Bianca and Alexa Bliss. Like, come on, there's a lot more to do there.
Yeah, I'm not
Uncrustables. Thank you so much, Jason Smith. Uncrustables. Almost Smuckers. I think Smuckers is the brand.
I think you're right. But I'm not an Alexa Bliss fan. Like, Alexa Bliss definitely pleasantly surprised me. Like, coming out of NXT, she was like the person I expected the least out of, and she came in. I'd say her and Carmella basically way over delivered when they were brought up to the main roster. But Alexa especially, nobody was expecting Alexa Bliss to be a multi-time champion, somebody who you could almost build a brand around, and she for a long time was almost that. And so yeah, she definitely did fall off in a way where people don't necessarily feel like she's done. So I get it. I get why people want to see more out of her right now, especially. Meet Normus says, "What's good, Will and Denise? My best was the men's War Games match. Worst was Io didn't jump off the cage in a trash can, or the Ronda Shotzi match." I have a feeling we'll be talking about a little bit more of that stuff here shortly. But we're going to get to my number 3 because my third best of the week was actually the main event of this week's AEW Dynamite, in which we saw Chris Jericho go one-on-one with Tomohiro Ishii. Didn't know what to expect from this match whatsoever. I thought going into this, I thought, that's an interesting match. Sometimes Tony just comes up with these kind of random matchups where I'm not sure exactly what his motivation was for going into this. I'm not sure exactly what he was thinking, but and I'm not sure if these two people are going to have any chemistry whatsoever. Like, this isn't exactly our spring chicken Chris Jericho. Even though Chris Jericho has had a really good year in ring, I know that Ishii has been kind of hit or miss this year. So I wasn't sure what to expect. Man, this was great. This was the kind of stupid wrestling violence I love. And Jericho's bleeding chest really, really spoke to me.
What did it say, Will? What did it say?
It said, "Keep watching this shit because it's fucking great." And I just the way that the Ishii was able to pull the fans into it. This is not a match that I don't think anybody in Chicago was expecting Ishii to win. It's like, okay, Chris Jericho's clearly going to retain. This is just another one of his Ring of Honor championship title defenses that we've been seeing throughout this run. But these two worked to get that crowd into it, and by the end, they were going bananas. They were going crazy for everything that Ishii did, and there were some spots where I felt like they were starting to buy it. They were starting to buy the possibility that Chris Jericho could lose here. This was exciting. This was fun. This was kind of exactly what you want out of this type of match, where you don't have any expectations and everything pleasantly delivers. This was two veteran performers who are masters of their craft, but haven't really gotten to tangle up together. And to see this as a first-time matchup did everything it needed to do. I was a really big fan of what Jericho and Ishii brought to the table as competitors, as opponents. That's what I was going for.
So I'll tell you this, like, when this match was announced, I thought, oh, hell yeah, cool, because I like to see matches that you probably didn't think you'd be seeing, you know, on AEW, right? Like, that to me is pretty exciting. And obviously, Chris Jericho has been having all sorts of different opponents for the Ring of Honor Championship. I like that concept, too, because I just like to see, you know, again, things that I haven't seen or, you know, just want to see, right? Like, things that were unexpected. And so for this particular match, I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was a great AEW Dynamite main event. I just love the back and forth slap exchange between the both, whether it was the slaps or whether it was the chops. Both of that I really enjoyed. In my post show, though, I did have a couple of people that weren't too fond of it. Some people thought that it was meaningless, rather just because they knew it wasn't really going anywhere else. But I think that sometimes that's not the point of things all the time. I feel like you can have these matches and just enjoy them for what they are, is an opportunity to see these people work together. Because how many, like, when you go back and you think of like all of these, you know, favorite wrestlers and different people when they were at their peak or you know, nearing the end or whatever it was, like, there's so many people that you're like, damn, I really wish I would have seen this person versus this person back in the day, and you never got it because of whatever reasons. And so I like that we can get more of that now, where we're like, oh shit, like, we get to see this match. That's pretty freaking great. In terms of the matches that Jericho has been having for the Ring of Honor Championship, I still rank the Bandito one way higher than this one, but regardless, I still think that it was a really good match. I enjoyed it. And I what can I say? I enjoyed it. And I'm glad that you put this in your top 3, because I was almost going to put it at my number 3, but I bumped it down for Starks and Ethan Page just because it had a little bit more, you know, something there for me. But this one almost went on my top 3, almost by a little bit.
Did you see Brian's post? It was the AEW Japan account posted just a quick interview with Brian, and that man is a masochist in all the best ways. But because the way he was looking at that match, and he was like, "You see Jericho's chest," and like he almost was saying it in a way where like he's like, "I want to bleed like that," and I thought about that, and I thought, I want Brian. I understand why Brian is in the position he's in and why he's where he is. And I think people don't understand that about Bryan Danielson because they're like, why would he have left WrestleMania main events to go wrestle over here? And it's like, do you understand that this man loves violence in his pro wrestling and wants just as much of that as he's ever going to get? So I don't know. I liked his reaction to having watched that match. Because Mark Henry gave the opposite, was like, if somebody chops me like that, I'm calling the police. And so, way.
different types of people, different types of mentalities, and we know that Bryan Danielson is rather an interesting fella. And I mean, I was there for his scrum when he first came into AEW All Out, and that's the thing. Like everything he said he was going to do, he's done. He said, "I'm gonna be I still remember this. God, when he said that, he was kind of mocking CM Punk during this. And he said, CM Punk said, I want to help the young guys and this and that. Nah, bro, I just want to kick them in the fucking head. Yeah. And that's what Bryan Danielson said. And he has stuck to that. And I just think he has a very different outlet. He's a very interesting guy. Like just listening to him talk, you'll know he's more of an eccentric, I think.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But in a good way, in an endearing way, I would say. Not an eccentric, like, oh, you're so fucking annoying, get away. No, like, it's funny, enjoyable.
Of course. Look, the guy's my favorite wrestler of all time. There's nothing that guy could do wrong in my eyes. Ten Ruza says, I'd pop huge if after Kyrie's Wrestle Kingdom match, we got Mercedes Moné Kenny style video after. Also excited for the second Wrestle Kingdom show and Rock versus Reigns WrestleMania 39. We
went in depth yesterday on this. Also, I sent you a screenshot of that Sasha Banks TikTok video. I just sent you a quick screenshot, but it's pretty much like a compilation of her like in the ring and training and all of this. And then her caption is what I think the fans is going to interest people a little bit there. If you want to read it or just put your phone up to the screen or something.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's that.
Yeah, she just says she's coming. That's it. She's coming.
It's interesting. I don't know what that means.
And her hashtags were interesting too. So it's like, what's going on, Sasha?
I was thinking about what you said yesterday, and
God.
I think you're wrong.
What did I say?
So I was talking about
I said a bunch of stuff.
So I was thinking about Sasha, and I had said yesterday that there's never going to be a bigger opportunity to bring her back than last night. That, Survivor Series was it. You had said, and I've heard from a couple of people. People have said that, the Rumble could be just as big. Not if she's not winning. If you don't have the plan for her to win that Rumble, no, it's not as big. You get the one entrance, but if she just gets tossed out of the ring after that, in any regard, it's not as big. I think that bringing Sasha back...
she can come back and win the Rumble.
Sure, but if, where does that fit, right? If they're doing Becky Ronda on one side and then Bianca Sasha maybe, but like we've seen that already. I don't know. It's like, everything seems to be pointing to a Charlotte return in victory and Charlotte facing Bianca. Like, I don't know where Sasha necessarily fits there. So that's where I'm like, if you don't bring her back...
I said yesterday, there's a good opportunity. I mean, I wouldn't be pissed if I saw Bianca and Sasha again.
Yeah. I mean, it was very good. And so it's one of the best women's matches at WrestleMania ever. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think a Rumble appearance is as big without the victory. That's all.
Okay. Well, you know what? Just for the sake of argument here, I'm just gonna guess if Sasha Banks comes back, it's at the Rumble and she's winning. There you go.
Okay.
Just so that we can have something going here.
Okay, that's absolutely fair. Denise Salcedo, what is your number 2?
All right, so we kind of talked about this in depth a lot yesterday. I will warn you, this is the only Survivor Series thing on my list this week. I know, right? So My number 2 is Sami Zayn essentially staying loyal to the bloodline. And just that portion, though, like not even the entire men's war games, just that singular portion of Sami Zayn proving his loyalty to the bloodline. Okay. That portion right there is what I have to include in my top 3 of the week. And I mean, go look on social media. I mean, it was literally everybody. I put out this question just asking people what did they think about the men's war games rated on a 1 to 10. Everybody was like, oh, action, not the action was so. I would rate the action 7, but the storytelling 10. Everywhere. Go scroll. Storytelling, 10, 10, 10. Sammy, bloodline. Okay. And that cannot be ignored. That cannot be ignored whatsoever when a huge majority of the people are reacting positively to to something like this, right? Then on top of that, I kind of ran through this already last night, but just to give a quick short summary, for me, it was more so what I liked about this was that even though Sami Zayn was proving his loyalty to the bloodline, I was still waiting for there to be another swerve on top of this because I wasn't too entirely sure. Like I was still thinking, okay, maybe he is gonna, I don't know, help out Kevin Owens. I don't know. Like it just kept me on edge in terms of what really is going on here. And I liked that, Sami Zayn walking into the War Games match was like very hesitant. He took too long. He played the part of like, what if maybe he is in cahoots with, Kevin Owens, maybe he's not. So I like the way that they played up the whole thing. And Roman Reigns, sitting there in the little cage door and he's just like, looking very serious, like wondering what the frick Sami Zayn is going to do when he was hugging him backstage and he gave that like eye of betrayal towards the camera. And then just everything afterwards, the hugging, them all celebrating and, being best of friends and just him winning, Jey Uso over. All of that to me was really great stuff, especially because of everything that they've been doing prior. Like the Sami Zayn bloodline stuff has been good consistently each and every single week. We've been on here, Will, you and I, putting this thing over all the freaking time. How many, like, what was it? Like when the whole honorary Oos t-shirt moment happened on SmackDown, that was number 1 for both me and you. That was such a huge moment. And there were some other moments too between Sami Zayn and the bloodline that made it up there. And so they've been consistently doing a great job. And I thought that the ending of War Games, for this story was definitely on point.
I agree. And that I actually thought this was really great, really compelling. I am actually going to just take a quick step back and go with my second best pick of the week.
Wait, is this both our second best pick?
Kind of, because I'm going to be a little bit kinder than you. And
okay.
that I'm going to say that I'm going to give it everything in this match because of the fact that, granted, while the action wasn't necessarily an action heavy match, but the action was decent. And the fact is, the story was so compelling. That's worth the entire number 2 pick to me. And I'm talking about going through the entire night, right? Because there was so much that went on with Sami Zayn and the bloodline throughout the night. We saw, as you can see on your screen, Roman give the reluctant hug to Sami Zayn, and he had this look of like, we were thinking after that first hug that Roman's done with this. Sami Zayn's time is up, and he is going to be crushed tonight, and some souls are going down. And yet, we didn't get that at all. Sami Zayn, the way Paul Heyman described it in the press conference that followed Survivor Series yesterday, Paul Heyman said Sami Zayn is like that character that made a cameo on the show and ended up becoming the star of the show. And that's a testament to how good Sami Zayn is. And I agree with that. Hopefully it's not like to a fault, like with like a Steve Urkel kind of thing, where then that character ends up overtaking and almost becoming annoying. But and I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But an
iconic character.
Still an iconic character, but my God, if you ever made it to the end of Family Matters, it was torture. But thinking about the story told throughout this match, and the way that the match started out with Butch and Jey Uso, and talking about the way Butch was working over Jey Uso, and then Sammy comes in, and the dichotomy there of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso having, just for a moment, just for a few minutes, having to actually trust each other, and Jey Uso realizing, I'm at a disadvantage if I don't trust Sami Zayn. That was a great story told in just this portion of the match. And just as everybody makes their way in, and Kevin Owens makes his way in, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come head to head, and it's like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have a lot of history, whether it's positively or negatively. They have a lot of history together. Sami Zayn was Kevin Owens' best man at his wedding. Like, there's a lot here, and the question of where do Sami Zayn's loyalties lie were questioned throughout this match, and of course, whatever the moment was going to end up being, we knew it was going to be something big and something meaningful. When Roman Reigns finally made his way in, Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, I thought just their little exchange was exciting enough to make me want to see what's now rumored to be their upcoming match, I guess, at Royal Rumble. That's great shit. As soon as these two started locking up, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they have great chemistry. Going back to 2016, these guys had great chemistry over the Universal title. And whether one was a heel, one was a face, we've seen it swap. We saw it a couple years ago, but it was in the Thunderdome, and I never want to watch anything from the Thunderdome again. So I would love to see this again. So just seeing that action play out, great stuff. But then when the low blow moment happened, when Sami Zayn made his choice, kicked Kevin Owens in the balls, and allowed the Bloodline to take the victory, that was both... I've never had my emotions in wrestling torn in two different directions, because on one side, I'm like, I want to see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. These are best friends, right? These are guys who I have watched going back to PWG. These are guys that I have seen do it all together. I watched these guys have a tumultuous relationship with Jim Cornette in Ring of Honor, and they stuck by each other. Kel Stenerico was the name of that team. That was great stuff. I loved everything about Kevin Steen and El Generico, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. When they both made it to NXT together, that was a moment. And when Kevin Owens turned, it was like, of course he did. But regardless, it's something that I've wanted to see these two finally patch it up and make it work as a babyface team. We haven't seen that yet. So that's the moment that I wanted to see. And it was heartbreaking in that moment to see Sami Zayn choose the Bloodline. But also, Sami Zayn and the Bloodline has been a great story. So my heart is also there. And it's like, oh, it's great to see Sami Zayn welcomed into this family that was reluctant to accept him, that has seen most of this as a joke, and it has just turned into something much, much bigger. And so, yeah, this was great storytelling. This was 10 out of 10 storytelling, sure. But you can't ignore a 10 out of 10. This whole thing gets my number 2. This was one of my favorite things to take place this week.
This is like the way that you explained it. It's like you're watching a movie and you're like, well, who should the lead go with? She's got 2 lovers. Are you team Bloodline? Are you team Kevin Owens? Like, who's the lover she should stay with, type of deal. No, I completely agree with you, because I had the same feeling where it was like, yeah, it's breaking my heart, you and Kevin Owens like this, but I also love you in the Bloodline. So, and I think that's a good thing, because you don't always get stuff like that where you're like, oh, I really love both sides. So whatever direction you go in, I'm cool with it. But I think I feel also along the lines of a lot of other people, where it's one of those things where you're like, I'm just glad we get to see more interactions between the Bloodline and Sami Uso. And that to me is exciting, especially because now we're going to be seeing a new dynamic,
Yeah.
With this, after WarGames, there has to be this new dynamic amongst the Bloodline and Sami. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out each and every single week.
Oh, for sure. And the Jey Uso dynamic finally changes.
Yes, exactly.
Like, that has a payoff. And you know what? Because I love the way SmackDown went off the air with Jey Uso just not taking his eyes off Sami Zayn. That was great. But we got a payoff to this now. Jey Uso has come around to Sami Zayn. We're done. Like, this is it. The thing I'm most excited for this coming Monday is to see the handshake between Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. And I honestly want him to like somehow do it dual with like the Usos on both sides, and they're both like doing the handshake with Sami Zayn at the same time. I think that would be hilarious. This was great. All of this was very good stuff.
Thumbs up. I agree.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Denise, I got a question for you.
Yes. What's your question, Will?
So I assume you had yourself a fairly good Thanksgiving, correct?
I did.
You did. Does that mean that your holiday season has begun?
My holiday season is about to begin because I am a proud owner of SmackTalk Showdown, ladies and gentlemen. So if you guys haven't played this wrestling card game, I have Promo Wars here on my YouTube channel, which you guys can watch. It's literally a wrestling card game where they give you prompts that include a wrestling name, a scenario, and a special task you have to do. And you act out the promos. You play with your friends, and whoever is the best promo, whoever is the Rock of the team, whoever is the MJF, whoever is the Dusty Rhodes of the game ends up winning. And it's really fun. It's really wacky. It's very silly. If you just want to have a good time with your friends and see how you would do in terms of cutting a promo, SmackTalk Showdown is legitimately the perfect gift, either for yourself, you can add it to your wish list, or hell, you can even get it for your friends, maybe even your family. Hey, maybe grandma wants to smack talk a little bit. Head on over to SmackTalkShowdown.com. They are our sponsors, and we love them so much. We have such a great time playing their games. And guess what? For you all people, for you very special people, you get $5 off your entire order with the promo code Denise. So if you do want to save some extra money during the holidays, $5 off your entire order with the promo code Denise. And that is at SmackTalkShowdown.com. Please show our sponsors some love. And I promise you, you will not regret getting this as a gift. And again, you can watch Promo Wars here on the YouTube channel and see how it works. $5 off your entire promo with promo code Denise, SmackTalkShowdown.com.
Hell yeah. All right. It's time for our worsts.
Woo! My favorite part of the show. My favorite part of the show is getting to pick my worst.
Is it really?
Yes. I don't know what to tell you. You know when you go into those rooms where you just like smash stuff and you break things? Picking my worst gives me that kind of release, you know? I'm just here like, gotta let out all my anger, you know?
I can't wait to hear what yours is. Denise Salcedo.
I'm actually excited about this week's.
Let's hear it. What's your worst?
All right. Bless his heart. Bless his heart so much. But, bro, did they do scripts so dirty on WWE NXT? Bro, they did him so dirty, okay? And, Will, I don't know if the picture's still up because I know I had it up on my previous show, so it may or may not be up in our little system here.
That's okay. I'll grab it.
Scripps' mask, God bless. Why would they do this to this poor guy? So if you guys don't know, on NXT, they've been teasing this new character, Scripps, and basically the way that they have been portraying this person or the build up to this reveal is he's been leaving like voice memos with a distorted voice, and he's going to do this and he's going to do that, and oh my God, whatever, right? And there's been vandalism and all sorts of things, right? So you're expecting this like I don't know, you're expecting anything but what you're seeing on your screen right now. What we ended up getting was Reginald as Scripps, which I do not have a problem with this being Reginald. I think Reginald as Scripps it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Give the guy an opportunity, okay? It's NXT. Give the guy an opportunity. But this mask, God, they did him no favors. First of all, it doesn't match the character development that they had been doing leading up to Scripps. It was just not this wonky, I don't even know how to describe this. This is so bad. This reminds me of like, you know, it just, oh God, the mask was horrible. This is like a 90s, like, let's just give him a weird ass, terrible mask with a terrible background story or some terrible gimmick. And this is what they did to him. The mask is so bad. It's horrible. The whole thing where he leaves the card and just the whole presentation of it does not match the original build-up to scripts. So I'm basically voting this the worst of the week for the fact that it doesn't match what they've been promoting. And secondly, because the mask is so freaking bad and they did him so dirty. I feel so bad for Reginald in this situation because they need to do something about that mask. If he comes out next week with this mask again, that's just messed up, bro. That's just messed up. So, that's my worst of the week.
I don't regularly watch NXT. And so, but I did catch this on my Twitter feed.
Oh, it was all over. You're welcome. Yeah. I posted the picture right away. And I'm like, let the people decide how they feel about it. And I knew everybody was going to shit on it the second I saw it. Because unfortunately, how can you not?
I can't believe how bad the mask is. I ended up going and looking it up just because I thought, okay, I need to see this in action. Maybe it's one of those things where stills aren't doing it justice and maybe footage will help. I think footage made it worse because then I kind of get a feel for how cheap the mask feels and how it kind of seems like it was... It feels like one of those, hey, Mom, I've got a project due tomorrow. Can we go by Hobby Lobby and go make this mask? And...
Bro, Hobby Lobby closes at like 6.
I know.
Like,
so
let's go to Walmart, the sales section, and see if we can find some materials. Not even freaking Hobby Lobby, not even freaking Michael's. Your ass is at Walmart.
Yeah, it looks so bad, and I felt so bad because, I want to see more for Reginald. I'm glad that the 24/7 title is over with, and he's clearly somebody who has a lot to offer. But I feel like this is the third time he's had a little bit of an uphill battle, where he was first brought in the Carmella Sasha Banks feud, and that was all really bad. And then
wasn't he in a love affair with Shayna for a second?
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that.
Brought over into he was brought over onto Raw and did the 24/7 stuff.
No, it was Shayna or was it Nia Jax? Who wasn't he?
It was Nia
Jax. Nia Jax. I don't know why I was thinking Shayna. No, yeah. Shayna was involved somehow.
Well, yeah, Shayna and Nia Jax were tag.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I forgot. I'm like, I knew Shayna was involved, but it was Nia Jax who he had a supposed love affair with.
Right.
Or that's what they were alluding to.
And then he made his way over to Raw, where he was basically just in the 24/7 brigade. And like at least his stuff with the 24/7 title, when he got to do what he does best, was entertaining. But also, that whole division is an anchor. So it was interesting to know that he was going to be rebooted and given another chance to do something that, at least at its core, seemed a little more serious. But the mask, I can't help but wonder what he thought when he looked at that and thought, you're really about to send me on TV with this.
What would you do, Will, if they told you, here you go, this is your gimmick, this is your mask, this is scripts? How would you go out there?
I'd start looking on Indeed. Like
I would cry. And just like disappear forever. I would cry and then go to the dirt sheets and tell them what happened to me. And I'd share a picture. I couldn't come out wearing this.
Oh yeah, no, this should have been like the old FTR clock thing. Like this should have been one of those pictures where, in a shoot interview in a couple years, you're like, this is what they were about to make me wear before I decided to quit the business forever.
My whole thing would be like, my story would be like, Denise locks herself in closet crying because she was forced to wear a really ugly mask. That would be my story. That would be my dirt sheet story. But no, seriously, I feel really bad for him in terms of having to go out there and wear that mask. Because, if he was okay with it, then you know what? More power to him. Okay, honestly, more power to him. I don't want to make him feel bad about it, but
I'd start questioning his taste. Are you kidding me?
Right? I know, but you gotta know. Like, let's say you were okay with it. Like, you know what? You can have fun. You can make it work. You believe in yourself. You can make anything work, right? But I would know based on what is out there and what we've seen, I would know that the wrestling fans would shit on me for wearing this. I would be fully aware of that. So, what do? You just go out there. What are you going to do? Tell whoever decided this, no, you're not going to do that. You want a job. You want to keep your job. You're going to say, yeah, okay. I can do it. I mean, how many people haven't been stuck with shitty gimmicks, and some people made it work, and then some people, well, you never heard of them again. You know,
I
this
know.
was yeah.
This is inherently wrestle crap, but like I feel that the right performer, no, you can't turn the mask around, but at least you might be able to turn scripts around. Maybe it can be a thing where it would require some jumping through some hoops and detangling this quite a bit. You could probably turn it around and make it work, but that's way too bad.
I think they should just alter the mask or take the mask off and then just run with it, because no matter what, like, Reggie can do cool things, right? And that will help get him over if he just goes out there and he does all this fancy, flips that Braun Strowman wouldn't like. So, go out there and do it.
Orion Bid 666 says, seriously, the WWE/ECW think fans are idiots. We got Devil Kazuya 27 said, should Austin Theory debut a Beyblade spinner belt? I mean, I saw a lot of people who thought that was a mistake, who thought that when Austin Theory came to the ring and the Beyblade graphic came up on the Tron, they were thinking that, wait, did they just accidentally play an ad on the screen during Austin Theory's entrance? No, Austin Theory, the Beyblade bought an ad on the winning participant in that match. That's why I said yesterday that I felt like it was a tell who was going to win that match, because they sponsored that specific match and had their ad placed on the guy who was clearly going to walk out successfully, because you definitely don't want your ad on a guy whose shoulders are pinned to the mat. But I don't know. I would love to see him continue to be sponsored. I want more wrestler sponsorships, to be honest. When I go back and watch old Raws and I see X-Pac sponsored by Hanson's Energy, and he comes out with his Hanson's Energy can, which, by the way, later renamed itself Monster. That's where the Monster brand comes from. But Hanson's Energy drinks, and X-Pac coming out with that green and black can because it happened to match his attire, and he comes out drinking it and turning toward the camera and making sure that the logo's facing. That was great shit. I want to see more wrestlers just like with brands on them. Brock Lesnar and Jimmy John's, like, let's go. I want wrestlers sponsored by brands.
I will say this, though. I tried Jimmy John's because of Brock Lesnar.
Really?
And let's just say I was going to F5 Brock Lesnar after that.
You didn't like Jimmy John's?
No.
It's interesting.
Because they want to sponsor us, I'll start liking them. I did it. I tried it and I was like, ugh.
I mean, I can't be like, bleh, because it's just like plain food. It's just like,
that's what I mean. It was bleh. It was just plain sandwiches.
I mean, look, Jimmy John's is not, you're never going to get anything great out of Jimmy John's. What you're going to get out of Jimmy John's is like something quick. And that's the appeal.
Well,
Jimmy
I wasn't
John's,
expecting that. I didn't know. I was expecting something delicious. I'm like, oh, Brock Lesnar is being sponsored by them. Might as well try it.
Their commercials aren't like, hey, get your food that tastes good. They're like, get your food quickly. That's what all their commercials.
But shouldn't it be implied that your food's going to taste good?
No, if they don't say, like, Subway is eat fresh, you're going to get fresh food, I guess.
I don't know about
the
that.
Pizza Hut
Have you not seen the headlines for Subway?
I know, right? But Pizza Hut, making it great, right? Everybody says that their food is great. Jimmy John's has never said that. Jimmy John's is just like, you'll get it quickly.
All right, well, there you go. Thank you. Egg on my face, I guess. I should not have expected their food to be good.
I guess so. Hey, my worst of the week. Look, I hate to kick this one while it's down. But
oh my God, I know what it's going to be. I know what it's going to be.
But it's so fresh in my mind.
Can I guess?
Guys, please go ahead.
Ronda Shotzi.
Thank you. So, Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi Blackheart. Again, or Shotzi, sorry, she's not Shotzi Blackheart anymore. Although I saw you made that mistake too. But
oh, thanks, Will. That could have gone unnoticed. Throw me under the bus. You're like, if I'm going down, bitch, you're going down too.
Exactly. We're bringing the whole ship down. No, okay. Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi. Look, I don't mean to kick things while they're down, because obviously the internet is already having a lot of fun with this match. But let me just say that this stunk, and I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know that I was expecting it to be any better than it was, but I do know that there's something wrong with Ronda Rousey's current run in WWE. There's something going terribly wrong here. I feel like when you think about who Ronda was as a performer and how much pro wrestling and sports entertaining and storytelling came naturally to her in her run 4 years ago, you start to think about how long 4 years really was, because now something is just not clicking with her in the ring. And, you know, most people I know tend to be more forgiving to Shotzi. And I think it has to do with the fact that she had an indie career. But I'm going to be honest, Shotzi is no good either. And again, I think people have wanted to be forgiving to her, but I keep seeing the remark of, you put Shotzi in there with a good opponent and, she might deliver. Where's that good opponent? When is it going to happen? Because as far as being on the main roster is concerned, it has not happened. And I have reached the point with Shotzi where I'm not convinced it's going to happen. I'm starting to think that the matches she had in NXT that delivered were more the exception, not the rule. And then on top of that, Ronda's just not that performer anymore. Something is just not clicking with her. There were some really embarrassing spots in this match, particularly the DDT on the apron spot where Ronda maybe hesitated or decided, nah, I'm not going to take this. And then after Shotzi went down, actually, maybe I will. And then dives down afterward. The crowd spot was also quite bad. The crowd was chanting, "We want Sasha." And even the finish. Can Ronda not hit her finisher anymore? This used to look good. I don't know what happened. And she's fully in control of this. So it's not one of those things where, maybe it's based on opponent. No, it's not looking good when she does it at all. And on top of that, the finish felt flat. I know it was supposed to be a story where Shotzi came off resilient and like she was just withstanding the onslaught from Ronda Rousey, but it was just not hitting. Nothing about this hit. And then I started thinking back to the promo on SmackDown that Ronda and Shayna cut, which was also kind of embarrassing. And, I know I've been an advocate for a while. I can't believe I'm about to say this. I know I've been an advocate for a while of merging the women's titles. But I actually think at this stage that would be a detriment to the Raw women's title, and it would bring it down. So honestly, if you just got rid of the SmackDown women's title at this stage, and I say that in a way of like 24/7 title style, where you just like for a few months just pretend it doesn't exist. Bianca just starts showing up on Raw, and you just casually just start calling her the women's champion, and then one day somebody just drops that belt in the trash. I wouldn't be upset because SmackDown's women's division is hurting right now. I think bringing Becky into it, and I said this yesterday, but I think that's why they brought Becky back on SmackDown rather than Raw, even though she's been on Raw for the last year. I think they brought her back on SmackDown because the plan is probably for her to be a part of the SmackDown women's division. They need it. They need somebody. They need a somebody with a star presence. Ronda Rousey brings a star name for sure, but it's felt like this year, 2022, that star presence is not there anymore. I don't think that she brings, there's that aura's not there any longer. And she's just not bringing it as a performer. I don't know what it is, but it's
You
not
think maybe
hitting.
she just doesn't have the passion?
Maybe. I know that this
Just
was definitely
collecting a
something.
paycheck sort of thing?
I think this was something she very much wanted to do, but at least 4 years ago. But it feels like now I definitely don't see what I saw before, other than maybe feeling like she had something to prove. Maybe, I don't know. Sheldon Jackson, by the way, says, "I'm with Denise. Jimmy Johns is not good at all. Ronda and Shotzi was a match they could have done on SmackDown, or worse, a live event match."
I mean, look, we talked about this yesterday, and I knew that's why I didn't pick it as my worst of the week. I knew you were going to have it as worst of your week. I knew somebody was going to have it as their worst of the week, okay? And I do not blame you whatsoever for putting it on there because it was just so bad, especially that freaking DDT on the apron that was supposed to happen. That was just too, God, so bad when these botches or these things are so noticeable to this degree. Like, it's fine if there's a slight one that happens, right? Okay, things are gonna happen. Nothing's perfect, right? But like this was so freaking bad. A freaking 2-year-old would have been like, what the fuck's going on? That's how bad it was. And I said this already and I'll say it again. I knew this match wasn't going to be good. And I knew it because of the recent track record with Ronda and because of the track record with Shotzi. And I think Shotzi has so much potential. And like the things I do like about Shotzi is her look. Her look is phenomenal. I like the energy that she brings to the ring. I do love all of that. But unfortunately, there just needs to be more work in terms of the polishing things up, right? Like the technique of things. And that's what is been hurting Shotzi, unfortunately. And with Ronda, I'm just starting to think maybe she's just not feeling very passionate about what she's doing when she's out there. And I don't know, because I don't want to just estimate. I don't want to put words into her mouth or guess her emotions, but that's just the way that it's coming across. And it sucks because I've said this before and I'll say it again. I love Ronda Rousey. I think Ronda Rousey is incredible and there's so much freaking potential with her. And I disagree with you where it comes to like getting rid of the SmackDown Women's Championship. I like the SmackDown Women's Championship. It's just that
I know I'm being harsh.
Yes, you are, but you're being so mean, Will. How dare you? It's just like I do think they just need somebody that is going to care about what they're doing. Really, really, even if you're not working with much, I feel like if someone who really wants to be champion is going to freaking do the best they can, even if they're out there trying to cut a promo, that's all they've got. You know what? I'm going to cut the best promo of my goddamn life, And then with the surroundings of it all, we just need to build up more women, build them up with more credibility. And that's it. To me, it's an easy fix. It's just a matter of doing it, executing it, and giving it a little time. And for us to just see that it's actually even happening. Like, I just want to see those changes. And I think if we see those changes, we can definitely have a very nice SmackDown Women's division. It's just not right now. Right now, it just doesn't feel, it feels like it's slim pickings in terms of what the options are. And I just feel bad because I think Ronda Rousey in WWE should be that person that every time she's out there having a match, it should be a big freaking deal. And unfortunately, it has not been.
Oh, yeah. And that's a shame. Well, I guess that now brings us to the best part of the show.
Woo! Literally. I can let the anger out. Now we can breathe. Namaste.
Now, I am curious.
Do you think we're twins? You think we're twins on number one?
I think so, yes. Might be different reasons, but I have a hunch.
I don't know. I think it's the same reasons.
Oh, this rules. Again, the beauty of this is that this is not a thing Denise and I discussed beforehand.
No.
Literally come together 2 minutes before this show with all of our stuff already prepared. So who would have guessed? But I'm guessing this is another time where it's Denise and Will's best pick of the week.
So can we just say it at the same time?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes? Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Go.
Women's War Games. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, what? I stopped talking about that. I heard Women's War. I was like, oh, we are not on the same page.
I'm just kidding. No.
Bro, you freaking sold that shit so well. I was like, oh, reel it back, Denise. Reel it back. You guys are not on the same page. Okay, well, for those of you, it's Death Triangle and the Elite numero dos on the Best of 7 series. Bro, did you see my face? My eyes bulged out. I was like, oh, crap. I felt so bad. Will, are you alive? I think that we need to clip this out. That was probably one of the best moments ever on the history of After the Week.
Yes, that was very good.
Never again are we doing this.
All right.
So what were your reasons as to why, or do you want me to go first? What do you, compose yourself?
Yeah, okay. Obviously last week I gave my number one to Elite versus Death Triangle. at Full Gear. I felt like the match did. Part of it was being there in person and just seeing it, and it was just such a hoop. But it was also such a triumphant return for the Elite. In terms of their entrance. And I love the story it told of they came in with all this pomp and circumstance and almost this foregone conclusion expectation that they were going to come in and take their titles back and resume. That's what all the video package had been building to, of like, they're the rightful champions. Everything is theirs. They're the elite. They're the elite in all elite wrestling. And they lost. I thought that was a great story. And I wondered how you top that. And I don't necessarily think the match topped it just because it's a TV match and it wasn't really designed to. But flip the dynamic completely, right? Because they got a hero's welcome in Newark, New Jersey at Full Gear. The fans were there for the Elite. That was not the case here. They walked into Chicago, Wintrust Arena. It's one of my favorite venues in Chicago. I love Wintrust Arena just because it is such a intimate setting. It's not as big as Allstate Arena, or definitely not as big as the United Center, and it's just slightly smaller than Now Arena, but it is in the heart of Chicago, so you're gonna get that Chicago crowd. And again, something about the acoustics of that arena, the way sound hits, crowds just come off so loud. And from the moment Carry On My Wayward Son hit, boos. They were just raining down on them. There were CM Punk chants. You could tell that this crowd was about to give it to the Elite. And then something magical happened. A fuck the Elite chant comes about. And then a fuck CM Punk chant comes about. And then a Colt Cabana chant comes about. And all of a sudden you realize, oh, this isn't as cut and dry as we thought it was going to be. This is a match where this is a crowd that, you forget, before there was ever a CM Punk at AEW, there was just an AEW in Chicago. AEW already had an established presence in Chicago. So these guys already had their fans in Chicago, and there's a lot of them here. So you got this dueling civil war between Chicagoans in the crowd. And when you could almost think that the match was going to just make itself about the crowd, the Elite did what I felt was the smart thing, which was take it back from the crowd, but give the crowd a little bit. Give the crowd a little bit to where it brings them into the match and not so much into themselves. Because the first time that Kenny does the Terminator clap and then looks up and gives a go to sleep sign, the crowd reacted almost immediately. They're like, wait, what was that? And so they all start paying attention to the match. And then throughout the match, they peppered in some little digs at CM Punk, right? You see Matt Jackson attempt a buckshot lariat, and he flops on it. Again, these were all like little on-screen references. Then Kenny comes in and bites Pac, like fresh out of a commercial break. He comes in, bites Pac, and you look at this like, whoa, they're like really going here. And of course, Kenny attempts a go to sleep on Pac, and he actually hits the go to sleep. And you would think through all of this happening, again, this was just like every single thing happening here just had my jaw on the floor. I'm like, I can't believe they're going here. And considering, I don't know, just 2 hours ago, I was reading a headline from Kenny Omega talking about let it go, fans. And then the three of them are like, just kidding. And they go fucking ham with all of this shit. And again, I was laughing. I was shocked. The crowd was just all over the place, had me excited. And I would think, why are we doing this? What is happening here? I can't believe they're going here. And then, in the end, it all made sense, right? Because the Elite came in, they worked babyface, they worked to the fans, and they lost because they came in a little too cocky at the pay-per-view. So they decided this time around, fuck the fans. We're going to do what we do best, and we're going to show the fans that we're still the Elite, and they came in and mocked the fans, and that also bit them in the ass, because that ended up, all of that, everything they did to heal it up ended up backfiring. You know, Matt Jackson hits the low blow on Pac, and you think that's going to be it. Matt Jackson goes to get the ring bell hammer himself, and he starts making out with it. All of that. He's going to attempt to use that on Pac, and Penta happens to have one of his own. He smashes it over Matt Jackson's head. 1, 2, 3. They still got beaten at their own game. And it was one of those things where they antagonized the fans a little bit, but at the end of the day, the fans won because the Elite lost. And I just thought, God damn, that was tremendous television. That was everything that I love about pro wrestling. Watching that, I just had an absolute blast with that. I don't care about any of the implications out of it. Just watching what I watched on TV, that was some of the best, most entertaining pro wrestling television I've watched in ages. Denise Salcedo, what did you think of this?
So there was a person in the chat asking if this was going to be our number one pick every single week for the next 7 matches. And here's the thing. This one was in particular more special because it was in Chicago. And that's the thing. Like, I feel that the reason, part of the reason, and you ran this down, but part of the reason for me that it was so impactful was really because with the split crowd, with the fuck CM Punk and the fuck the Elite chants and this and that, right? It felt like a really big sports feel. Like if you were out in a game and, you know, you have obviously people rooting for one team and people rooting for another, that's exactly what this felt like. And the energy was just through the freaking roof. And I'm so glad that you pointed out the whole thing about Kenny Omega. That was one thing that I said on my show is I had just reported on this freaking article that was put out there about him telling the fans to let it go. And now he's out here biting people, doing GTSs, etc. So I did kind of think like, okay, so I probably should not take what he said seriously on that interview and just move forward with this. But I feel because they were in Chicago, they had to do this, or rather, you know, they were playing to the crowd. The crowd was reacting. You're playing to the crowd. It was freaking entertaining as all hell to see. And legitimately, I didn't know what to expect from the Chicago crowd for this. I didn't know what was going to happen or anything, especially when you and I, Will, we were just sitting in this Newark crowd listening to everybody say fuck CM Punk. And it was one of those things where it was just freaking nuts to see. And then, I mean, it's almost like going to a different planet. Like all of a sudden now you're in Chicago and you're getting this entirely different reaction. And truthfully, like I kind of thought there was going to be a good chance that like everybody was just like anti the Elite. Like I didn't know if the crowd was going to be divided. I thought everybody was going to be anti the Elite. Then I thought, fuck, based on what I've seen on social media, will all of Chicago turn on CM Punk? I don't know. Like that was my thoughts, you know, heading into this. And then the match itself, you know, obviously all these guys, they just do magic with each other. It's freaking nuts, the things that they can do together. It was freaking great. I love the way the crowd reacted when Phoenix did the tornado and everybody just went batshit crazy and started chanting Ole. And, what do you call it? It just felt like a really, really big freaking moment, just the entire thing. It was a spectacle to watch. It was one of those things where I'm like, shit, like this is going to be like a once in a lifetime thing for AEW in Dynamite in Chicago, coming off of this massive freaking story that swept the headlines, that had everybody talking, even casuals, even locals, everybody. Me and my mom had a conversation about the Elite and CM Punk. She don't watch wrestling. She don't know shit about wrestling. We talked about the Elite and CM Punk.
What were your mom's thoughts?
She was like, oh, yeah, I saw about that on Twitter. She just said, but I was following your tweets. I just didn't understand what was actually happening. But based on your tweets, it seemed very interesting. That was what my mom said. So she, you know, obviously she's not a wrestling fan. She has no idea.
But your mom follows your Twitter.
And that's fan.
Your mom follows
Yeah, my mom follows me on Twitter. She actually reads all my tweets, by the way. Like, even the shit she doesn't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like, she reads my tweets. Like, she's up to date with stuff. And she knows that CM Punk, like, she knows there's certain wrestlers that when she hears their names, she knows to pay extra attention because they're my favorite wrestlers. Like, CM Punk, she'll pay extra attention to. Chris Jericho, she'll pay extra attention to. I had to explain to her what AEW was. I explained to her what the WWE versus AEW situation's at. Hell, I even explained this to my grandma. I had this conversation with my grandma, too, okay? That's how big this Elite CM Punk stuff was, that you're talking about it with people that don't even watch wrestling. But anyways, yeah, so just like this was a once in a lifetime thing, I think, at least for this. And they got a lot of people thinking, is CM Punk going to come back to AEW? Are they going to build off a story, make this into an on-screen story? What the hell is going to happen? I don't know, because, you know, based obviously on the reports that have put out there that, you know, certain people don't want to work with CM Punk anymore. It's like, I don't know if that means that he's necessarily done and out, or if that's just, wrestling. I don't know. There's so many times where you've seen people that don't want to work together that end up working together. I don't know what to believe anymore in terms of whether or not CM Punk will be back in AEW. I don't know what to believe. Where are you at on this, Will? I need some persuasion. Whatever your stance is, I need some information.
I think at this juncture, there are a lot of minds made up that that don't want to work with CM Punk. And I know that CM Punk, at least his camp, has implied that there's very much an attitude of not wanting to work with certain guys. But I think at the end of the day, CM Punk still under contract. And granted, he's injured at the moment. So, there's that waiting game. I think that one of the things that Tony indicated that kind of went under the radar at the media scrum last week was where he was asked about CM Punk, and he spoke positively about CM Punk's on-screen contributions, which to me, I know that at the end of the day, Tony Khan just wants to put on the best show he can put on, and a show that entertains particularly him, right? And so I know that if the opportunity comes about and he can call CM Punk back to TV and tell his roster, look, he's here, deal with it, he can do that. And the funny thing is, what the fuck is anybody going to do? Like, this, at the end of the day, you're all contracted workers to this company, and you're all going to have to work with each other. There are certain guys who don't like each other at all. There are some, and I've told you some stories.
I know stories.
I know. There are people who don't like each other at all that have had full-on feuds with each other. There's certain stuff that's happened on TV, promos that have gone down that were legit, and people don't even realize any of that. So at the end of the day, I think that pro wrestlers are going to do business if they have to. And, I know that there are people even high up that don't want CM Punk back. But I think at the end of the day, if they were all required to work together and make money, they would. And so pro wrestling has taught me never say never until somebody's in the ground. And even then, I don't know. The Undertaker is.
I was gonna say The Undertaker.
So at the end of the day, I don't know. I can never say never at all. I can't say that CM Punk will never be back in AEW because I know that Tony Khan made a big investment in CM Punk and wants to see that through. And so,
and I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all for wanting to see that through.
Right. And I can't never say never to CM Punk and WWE because, as much as people would say, they'd never work together again. Look, Ultimate Warrior went back to WWE and fucking died. And that is such a big deal to me because, look, WWE literally released a DVD trashing Ultimate Warrior. The Self-Destruction of Ultimate Warrior, released in 2005, literally was just an hour-long documentary trashing that guy. He went back, and they named a Hall of Fame award after him. So, I can never say never in pro wrestling at all when it comes to any situation. At this stage, I know that there are guys that don't want to have to work with him, but also, CM Punk's injured. They don't have to, so it's a very easy thing to say. But with a ready-to-go CM Punk, a CM Punk that you can draw millions with, I think certain people would at least go, maybe one match, maybe one promo. All right, if we don't have to talk to each other after the fact, but fine, I'll do it. So,
Will, would you be able to work with someone you didn't like? I can't work with someone I don't like.
Really? If you were told Denise Salcedo.
Oh, but if they told me, yeah, I get what you mean. Okay, let's say you and I had this massive beef and we just couldn't stand each other. And then someone was like, okay, if you and Will do this show, you'll get paid you'll make $3 million because you guys hate each other so much.
Right.
Then I'll be like, yo, what's up, Will?
Yeah, I know, right? We pretend to be the best of friends. We're getting paid $3 million for the show, by the way. We actually secretly hate each other. This is not. But as far as Punk's concerned, I don't know. I don't truly know how it's going to end, but I know where it stands at the moment. But again, pro wrestling is pro wrestling. At the moment, the biggest payday anybody could make right now is Kenny Omega versus CM Punk. I think that is the most eyes you could draw right now in terms of interest from the fan base.
Oh my God, can you imagine All Out in Chicago? Kenny, CM Punk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? And
come on now.
I feel like you could draw so many eyes to that. And I think that if they can put anything aside, I would love to see it. Do I think it's going to happen? Not really, but
I'm going to say there is I'm at 50% sure that there's a chance it could happen. 50-50 right now. That's not too bad.
Yeah, I'm like 40-60. I think that right now.
Oh God, I'm going to start praying for it. I'm going to add it to my nightly ritual.
I still don't believe right now that anybody's interested in doing it, except maybe Tony. But I think once
do you know how bad that sounds, Will? Dear God, feed the earth, world peace, take care of my friends and family. Please make Kenny Omega versus CM Punk happen.
Hey, and look, world hunger is still going on, but if you can at least get CM Punk versus Kenny Omega, then you're accomplishing something.
I mean, there you go. That's probably more likely to happen than world peace. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Denise, this was fun. Once again, it's always fun hosting After the Week with Denise Salcedo and Will Washington. And guys, let us know in the comments what your top 3 picks of the week are. Let us know what your worst is. Let us know what you agreed with, disagreed with. I know the question was, will you guys do this every week and put put the Elite versus Death Triangle at the top for 7 straight weeks? Who knows? If I'm only going to be honest to my taste.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the part of, and I guess that's the last thing I'll say about our number 1 pick. Part of why I liked that match so much is the fact that despite going on 4 days after they just had that match, I didn't feel like any of it was the same. There were callbacks to it, but for the most part, they worked a different match. They'll have to pull that off 7 times for me to put it at the top 7 times. And granted, if anybody can do it, it's those guys. But if I get any traces of the same match, it'll get knocked down a tad. Don't worry. We're not. That's at least how I feel. I don't know about Denise. If she'll just be like, look, I like this shit every time. It's number 1.
I know, I do. Every week. Number 1. No, like, that's the same thing for me. Like, when I come out here and I do my picks, like, it's what I like, what I want, what I prefer. And that's why I kind of find it funny. And when you and I think it's been like 4 times on the show, maybe 3 or 4 times where we've had the same number 1 pick. And I actually think that when we do that, I feel like that's probably saying a whole lot, because you and I are, we're pretty different, Will, in terms of what we like and what we don't like or whatever, right? So I feel like we both chose it at the number 1, there's a pretty good reason for that. And so, I mean, look how different our top 3 was. It's very different. Well, yeah, somewhat different. Not really. There's been other weeks where we've been way different. This one had a little bit more similarities, but still. That's true.
As a matter of fact, if you want to see a true difference between me and Denise, about a year ago, Denise and I did a top 10 of Mariah Carey songs. And in that list, there were 18 different songs between the 2 of us.
Yeah, that's wild.
So, again, taste can be entirely different. Speaking of which, shout out to Mariah Carey season, because that's where we're at. Anyway, folks, that is it for this edition of After the Week. Denise, let the folks know.
Yes. Okay, guys. So I just checked earlier, right before this podcast. I'm 134 subscribers away from 80K. So if you have not subscribed yet to this channel, please subscribe. There is tons of wrestling content going up. I uploaded an interview with Taya Valkyrie. That's a really great conversation. We literally catch up. She talks about her days in WWE. She talks about what she's been doing the last year, how she, basically went from like feeling like shit because of how things played out to now feeling, differently. And so we talk about that. Promo Wars, that is a whole entire series. All those videos are evergreen. You can literally watch the old ones, the new ones. It doesn't matter. But I just posted a new one. That one is up there. Will and I have a promo wars with the Grapsity guys. Check that one out. There's so many to see. All the AEW Full Gear media scrums, those are all up there. I have the best footage of MJF's promo, and that one is doing great amounts of views. Please check that out too. And there's just going to be more to come, everyone. I'm constantly going to the shows. Will and I are here each and every single week. I'm constantly thinking of new content to put up here. So please make sure you click that subscribe button. This channel is growing faster than it's ever grown before.
Leave us a thumbs up as well. Outside of that, folks, follow me. I'm William RBR on most social platforms except for Hive, where I'm Will Washington. But I need Hive to speed up before I can commit to that platform. But other than that, folks, that's it for this edition of After the Week. Come back next week at our usual time. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.